The foundational axiom of early 1920s cinema was that every film strictly followed a clear, sequential path. The timeline was built on three rigid nodes: setup, conflict, and resolution. Audiences demanded clear cause and effect mechanics. A reliable, linear progression was required. That structural expectation makes the evening of June 6, 1929, an anomaly. Here, at the Studio des Orphelines in Paris, the Parisian elite gathered in the theater, taking their seats, anticipating standard, logical entertainment. As the lights dimmed, a young Spanish director named Luis Buñuel stood hidden, directly behind the projection screen. He had taken a very specific physical precaution, filling his pockets with heavy stones. Buñuel anticipated the film's structure would be so abrasive to their sensibilities that he would need physical ammunition to defend himself against a riot. Buñuel and his co-writer, Salvador Dalí, had spent months engineering a deliberate, hostile confrontation against the logic of their own audience. They titled the 16-minute silent film Un chien andalou, an Andalusian dog. The logical paradox begins immediately. No dog ever appears in the runtime. The opening sequence establishes the rules of engagement. A man sharpens a straight razor, steps out onto a balcony, and looks up into the night. The filmmakers execute a visual match cut, showing a thin cloud slicing across a full moon. That exact image is immediately followed by the sharp razor appearing to violently slice across a human eye. This sequence operates as an active visual thesis statement. The intact observing eye represents the audience's reliance on active deduction and traditional reason. Severing it is a structural mandate, a demand to stop attempting to parse the film using logical deduction. To navigate the remaining runtime, the audience must abandon cause and effect entirely, relying strictly on the subconscious reception of the images. This diagram demonstrates Buñuel and Dalí's collaborative process. Sharing their most bizarre nightmares, they tested each concept against a rational explanation filter. If an idea made sense or could be labeled a metaphor, it was instantly discarded. They hunted down and destroyed any visual that could be categorized as a recognizable cultural symbol. To replace standard plotting, they utilized psychic association. Ideas were linked together based strictly on abstract visual connections, bypassing logic entirely. This exact methodology aligned with the broader Surrealist movement. Led by André Breton in the 1920s, the collective operated with a highly organized, formal structure. Their central obsession was the dream state, which they classified as a superior reality, untouched by the constraints of societal conditioning. The film's lack of narrative structure was the result of a mathematically strict engineering process designed to systematically eliminate meaning from every frame. This two-axis graph illustrates the concept of the double perspective, the mechanism driving the film's jarring aesthetic. The vertical y-axis represents Luis Buñuel's domain, the cinematic eye. He exercised rigorous control over pacing, framing, and mechanical editing. The horizontal x-axis is occupied by Salvador Dalí's plastic imagination, generating the static, absurd, painterly concepts populating the shots. The most aggressive visuals in the project occur precisely at the intersection of these two distinct skill sets. You see this convergence when a swarm of ants crawls directly out of a dark hole in the center of a human hand. It appears again as a man struggles to physically drag the immense weight of two grand pianos across an empty room. The pianos are loaded with absurd cargo, the decaying carcasses of donkeys and two visibly bewildered priests. Merging strict editorial execution with impossible scenarios proved this collaboration could evoke intense physiological reactions while remaining completely divorced from reality. Executing this vision required Buñuel to break standard cinematic syntax, the established editing rules dictating how time and space connect on screen. This diagram shows the standard function of a match cut, smoothly transitioning the viewer between different times, creating a logical bridge. In 1929, Buñuel inverted this rule, forcefully smashing completely unrelated spatial ideas together. Buñuel deployed jump cuts specifically to disorient the viewer's sense of geography. One specific edit creates a geographical impossibility, where hair from a woman's armpit instantly migrates onto the face of a man in the same frame. These aggressive spatial manipulations predated the standard nonlinear editing techniques used in modern filmmaking by several decades. The syntax of cinema was inverted. The exact tools originally designed to maintain continuity were weaponized to enforce strict disconnection. When the projection finally ended at the Studio des Ursulines, the immediate aftermath revealed a severe miscalculation. As this scale illustrates, the creators had an explicit goal. The film was engineered to be an unforgivable insult aimed directly at the Parisian middle class. That the refined audience did not riot. They erupted in applause. The demand was immediate. The movie ran continuously for 8 months and secured its place as a staple of avant-garde cinema. Buñuel and Dalí were profoundly disappointed. They felt genuine anger that the very public they sought to offend found their hostile imagery entertaining. This specific historical paradox became known among the avant-garde as the scandal of success. It illustrates a structural truth regarding modern art. The elite demographic eagerly absorbs and celebrates the very works created to deconstruct them. This timeline traces the influence of those 16 minutes, mapping a trajectory nearly a century into modern media. Directors using non-linear timelines are deploying descendants of Buñuel's edits. The jarring imagery in modern music videos operates on the exact visual rules established by Dalí. Any contemporary visual media built on disjointed, associative cuts is paying rent to the architecture constructed by that single premiere. The personal aftermath was highly visible. The exposure transformed Dalí into a heavily capitalized global brand and established Buñuel as a leading architect of cinema. Un Chien Andalou successfully imported the mechanics of surrealism to the screen. By removing rational plot constraints, it systematically freed the medium of film from the strict burden of reality.